Hey ladies, this video is about emotionally devoid sex. And to a lot of us, that's really unfulfilling. I'm going to speak from the point of a woman, but I also know men have that. A man may have a wife who just gives him duty sex, pity sex, starfish sex. She just lays there. I'll let you use my body, just get over it quick. There's no emotion there. There's no desire there. I think it's different for a woman because the man will want to have sex. He's not going to get hard if there's no desire, okay? Because a woman can just use lube and just lay there. But the man's feeling attracted, he's horny, he wants sex with his wife, but the sex isn't fulfilling because of the lack of emotion that's there. And this video is inspired by an email I received from someone who watches my videos recently, and it made me also reflect on how I was pushed away emotionally during sex in my first marriage. And I'm going to say first marriage because there might be a second marriage. So what that would look like is when the man, I'm going to speak as the point of a woman, when the man makes sex mechanical or just physical or just as a way for him to get off, and so it can be over in one stroke, 2 strokes, a minute. And not only is it very quick, there is no interest in the woman's pleasure, her emotional pleasure, first of all, because as women, we don't need to have an orgasm every time to enjoy sex. For all the women I've talked to, myself included, I'm not saying, maybe there are some women who need to have an orgasm every time, but that would be pretty unusual. We can enjoy sex because we don't have sex because we're so horny, we need a release. It's a lot about the adventure, the exploration, the journey, feeling close to our partner, the emotional things we can feel, and getting really turned on. But if the man just makes it physical, it's not going to be satisfying. And it can lead to the woman not even wanting sex with him anymore. The way that he can make it physical, only physical, it would look like this. I'll give you some examples. The sex is very quick. He uses sex just as a way to get off. He doesn't allow any emotion in the sexual encounter. So that means no eye contact, maybe even no kissing, but certainly no looking in each other's eyes. And no saying, I love you, I'm so happy to be with you, I feel so, like no words of affection are spoken. Maybe he'll just want to do it in the dark, but maybe not. There'll be certain things that are like, no, we're not going to do that. You as a woman might say, I would like to try this, I would like to try this. It'll be no, we're not doing that. I don't want that. No. It could also look like the woman is not allowed to initiate sex. It could be because she's worried about not getting hard. It could be because he doesn't feel desirable. It could be that he doesn't want that intimacy at that moment. It could be that she's not allowed to play any romantic music during sex. Wear lingerie, or it could even be that he has trouble coming because he's so used to porn, and that sex becomes all about his penis and his ejaculation, and the focus is so much on his penis. So for the guys that come really quick, emotionless sex is about getting off fast, and there's some anxiety about the intimacy, and the quickest way to get out of the anxiety of the intimacy is to come fast. And then after the guy comes, he may do this obligatory, okay, what can I do for you? I'm a good, dutiful husband. So what can I do for you? But he's bored and disinterested in whatever he's doing. And you probably won't be able to come because you can sense his boredom. Or he could just roll over and go to sleep, or get up and take a shower because it's time to go to work. No time for you. And if you ask about it or want to have a conversation about it, he might just say, I don't like to do these things. I don't know why. Why do you have a problem? This is just how I am. Sex is only physical. And he may even shut down the conversation entirely. All right. But I want you to know that this does not mean he's an abusive man or a bad man or a cheating man or a disrespectful man. This is all wounding from childhood, in my opinion, where sadly the man was belittled or criticized or shamed for having feelings, so he had to shut them all down. He can't access them. Or he may have been sexually traumatized, where physical affection is uncomfortable. Physical sexual affection and intimacy is uncomfortable, and that's why they will be premature ejaculators. A man who enjoys sex doesn't want to come fast because he doesn't want it to be over. And a man who is emotionally able to be connected, he will tune into the woman. He will tune into the woman. It's called having empathy, feeling into your partner. But if he's disconnected, he won't be able to do that. The other type of man who is disconnected emotionally is the guy who takes forever to come. And then he blames you for it. Now, he might blame you for it, that you, something about you, it's your fault. And he might have his reasons, and that, I don't really have experience in that so much, but that's an abusive tactic, is to blame the woman, that he can't come. It's something that's her fault. And men can come pretty easily unless they have desensitized their penis, and a man usually can come pretty easily with a little bit of friction, he should be able to orgasm in a vagina with a condom on, or in a woman's mouth, or with his hand or her hand. And if he has trouble, there's probably some kind of a medical thing, or desensitizing from excessive masturbation with too tight of a grip and no lube. But blaming the woman and shaming her for it is kind of hostile, I want to say. It's hostile, because he should be curious about why he can't come. The other type of man who is emotionally, I'm going to call it hostile. It's hostile to have sex with a woman and push her emotions away, disregard her emotions, either by telling her emotions are unwelcome, blaming her you can't get off, or using her as a sexual ejaculation device. And that would be the third type of guy, who is being kind of physically aggressive in ways the woman doesn't want. There was a woman years ago on my other YouTube channel that was taken down, that left comments about, she was a mom. I think she said she had 4 kids. And so this is not an email. This is a comment she left, public comment, that her husband wanted her to do anal, and she would do the anal to please him, but that it hurt. It was painful. And this guy didn't care. And she was just trying to keep him happy. So this could be a man who's physically aggressive during sex, kind of forcing the woman or disregarding her feelings about him wanting to have a threesome, or him wanting to have sex with other women, or him wanting to do anal. I'm a man, this is what I want, this is what you need to do, woman, you're my wife, or pushing her to have sex when she doesn't want to, do things she doesn't want to because, and not caring because he's entitled, or he's entitled to the sex, he's entitled, forcing himself on her in ways that she's not excited about. So those are just some of the ways that I know. And these things eventually, they're hurtful. Relationships are a lot about our ability to be empathetic, to have care and regard for the other person, to be empathetic. And sex is one thing that we just share in our intimate relationship. And I think that there's so many men who are really bad in bed. I have encountered many men who are very bad in bed. And what makes them bad in bed is they're not tuning into the woman. They're just in their heads trying to get off, or they're focused on their dicks, or they're just trying to do this act, and they make it very mechanical. When men make the sex mechanical, it's really unpleasant for the woman, because sex is all about emotion. And see, people don't talk about bringing emotion into sex enough, because in our modern hookup culture, it's all about sex as a physical act, as a performance act, where a liberated woman feels nothing but physical sensations. And she's supposed to have multiple orgasms and squirt and be all sexy and look all sexy, but have no feelings. And when you eliminate the feelings, you are stripping a huge portion of the pleasure out of sex, especially for women, because the more we can feel, not just our desire and our attraction for you and our hearts open and love for you, but to feel like our sexuality and our desire and our freedom and whatever's coming up. And when the man is just pushing it away by saying no to the most basic of things, like saying no to her desire or her curiosity, or blaming her for his erectile dysfunction or inability to come, or just using her as a sex object, a woman can never access her full sexual repertoire. And instinctively, I think we know that there's something wrong and something missing, and there's a dissatisfaction. Yesterday, I started watching the videos, YouTube channel from the author who wrote The Dead Bedroom Fix, and he was interviewing on a podcast a woman who, I don't remember her name now, she's a sex coach. I start watching her videos, and in her videos she talks about, how every woman can have vaginal orgasms and G-spot orgasms, but it's not going to happen super quick. She talks about working with couples on their relationship, how you have to get all the resentments and stuff out of the way, and that the man needs the physical stamina, the erection ability, the core strength to have penetrative sex. She says 30 to 45 minutes for a woman to come, and not just jackrabbit fucking, but really sensual fucking. When I was an escort, I had a client. I had a couple clients where I cried during the intercourse, but out of like 1,000 men, only 2, because they all wanted to be sensual with me and please me, but they didn't know how. And these 2 men had this ability. Now, I didn't have feelings for them, but this is how they were sexually. They had this ability to be very sensual, to tune into my body. Oh yeah, there are quite a few that got me turned on, I want to say, because they usually had very large penises, and they knew that they had to wield it carefully and had to get the woman turned on. Or they were just very sensual men, and they really enjoyed tuning into the woman and getting her really turned on. Like accessing a woman emotionally during sex and getting her really turned on was something they enjoyed doing and they knew how to do. And that is the kind of sex that I really loved and craved. And honestly, the main reason I want to have a relationship is to experience the kind of sex that this woman in the video was talking about, where a man actually has a physical ability to just fuck me really well, emotionally, spiritually, physically. And I had given up on that, but watching that video made me realize that I had kind of dampened down a dream. Now, for a guy to do that, they can't just lay there in bed and have the woman write them. They have to have some core power and, let her be like a buttery submissive and just open her up with the power of their masculine penetrative force, sensual penetrative force. And that requires emotions. It requires empathy and feelings. Okay, a man has to access his own feelings to be able to read the woman's feelings. If a man is shut down emotionally, he cannot feel his woman's emotions or her response. And, when women are just not fucked very well, eventually we lose our sex drive. And that's what happened to me in my first marriage, where I didn't know why I lost my sex drive. I was still self-pleasuring, but I didn't want to have sex with my husband anymore. And I got worried about it, so I went to see a therapist. I think my kids were toddlers at the time, or I don't know, maybe, yeah, my kids were small. And I learned that I still had a libido, but I just didn't want to have sex with him anymore. And I didn't know why at the time. But now I can tell you why. It was because he pushed away my sexual curiosity, my sexual self-expression, my emotional self-expression, and my bits of connection. So, yeah, he came home, he provided, he was respectful to me, kids, be nice to your mom. He helped with the kids, he helped with the housework. But if I said, let's go on a date, I don't want to spend the money on that. I want to spend money doing this and this to the house. Or why don't we take a trip together? My parents took trips together. Your parents took trips together. I'd love to take a trip with you. I don't want to spend the money on trips. I want to spend the money on the house, doing things to the house. And if we did go on trips, he had to take the kids along. So he used the kids as an intimacy blocker. And these things just kind of like made me stop going to him for connection. And so what women often will do, we will find our own ways of being able to stay in that relationship. For me, it was taking Vicodin for 10 years. And it was just focusing also, I did my workouts, I did my meditation twice a day. I cooked organic food for the family. I helped out at the school. I read a lot of books, especially about investing. I started a real estate business because the Vicodin was the emotional substitute for him. But other women will emotionally overbond with their children or have an affair, do a lot of shopping. I did a little bit of excess shopping. I didn't know I was acting up, but the Vicodin I kind of knew. I was very unhappy in that marriage, and he didn't want to do anything about it. He didn't want to go to therapy. He didn't want to spend the money on therapy. He didn't want to spend the money going out to dinners, but he still wanted to fuck me. He still liked coming home to me. He didn't ask for a divorce. He didn't ask me to change anything. So this is what I'm saying about walled off people. And our sex life wasn't good. And so for years, I didn't want to fuck him at all. And I was like, if he's cheating on me, that's fine. I don't blame him because I don't want to fuck him. But I didn't realize why I didn't want to fuck him, that I was just responding to him. And then over the years, I became critical of him. I did have a wake-up call. I stopped taking the Vicodin. This is my journey. I stopped taking the Vicodin. And then I started really focusing on all my feelings again and reconnecting in my marriage and all of that. And then I was no longer willing to take no. So I would keep making bids for connection in a loving way, not nagging anymore, because I was I fell in love with him. And he kept pushing me away. And I allowed it for 3 years. I allowed him to keep pushing me away. And it was very painful for me because I was so in love with him. And I had always wanted, like this marriage, forever marriage. And I was in it. I didn't even consider leaving for years, year after year after year. And while we grew closer outside the bedroom, and he was like so excited to come home to me again, and we had sex 3 times a week. Again, it was all this emotionless stuff in the first scenario I was telling you, where it was no Sharzad, no Sharzad, no to this, no to that. I can't help that I come quick. I just come quick. Sex is just physical, Sharzad. It's just physical. And he would explain it to me so patiently, like it was just a fact. And then he would fuck me and leave me in this heap of desire, because I would be so turned on by him, and then he would just come in like a half of a minute and just leave me there. And I kept trying to figure out how to be okay with it. See, ladies, during sex with our partner, during any sexual encounter, I want to feel emotionally satisfied. I don't want to feel sad. I don't want to feel angry. I want to feel connected and emotionally satisfied. And believe it or not, when I was an escort with my clients, I did feel emotionally satisfied because I was attracting men who actually wanted to enjoy it and enjoy me. But when I was married to a guy who just used sex as a way to get off. And my kids don't watch my videos, so I'm not bad-mouthing their dad. But I'm sharing my journey as a woman, and I think it was very hostile towards me, but I allowed it. And it was very painful, and sex is supposed to leave us emotionally happy afterward. Like, this was fulfilling. I feel happy. Not, I feel sad, I feel frustrated, I feel angry. Ladies, if you feel sad, frustrated, or angry during sex or after sex, there is something going on that you've got to deal with in yourself and with your partner, because sex is supposed to, it's a physical form of affection. It's a physical form of affection. It requires emotion, and the ideal emotions would be connection, love, joy, openness, curiosity, adventure, desire, attraction, playfulness, acceptance. There should not be any rejection of you emotionally, or shaming you, or pushing you away. In a healthy relationship, a woman can express her desire for a man, and he's not going to keep telling her, no, 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 this isn't okay, we're not doing that. That's not the kind of relationship I will ever go for again. Okay, so ideally in a relationship, there's room for our full emotional and sexual self-expression, and the man delights in it. The next relationship I have, if I ever have one, the man will have to delight in me. He will have to delight in me, in all of me, and not push away my emotions or my sexuality. I'm not going to allow that anymore. And so those of you who are in relationships where your emotions are, or your sexuality, your desire is, your bids for connection are pushed away, I just want you to realize that that could be what's happening, that you could be in a relationship where your full self is not, there's no room for it, because this person hasn't accessed their own emotions and sexual self-expression. And if they haven't owned their own, they can't accept yours, because it's threatening, it's uncomfortable. And being in a relationship like that is very traumatizing. I thought I was the good wife for staying, but I actually just hurt myself, because every time that I allowed myself to be pushed away, I think I grew a little bit resentful of men, or mistrusting of men, because it was a man that I loved who pushed me away, and I think that hurt me, and I have a little bit of healing to do. I have a little bit of healing to do. Um, so I'm working with a therapist now, and these are some of the things that I'm just becoming more aware of, that I wasn't the good wife for allowing it, that I have the right to express my feelings and to have them honored and wanted and desired. If someone doesn't want them, that's okay. I respect your boundaries, and I will go elsewhere where they are wanted and desired. Ladies, you deserve to have sex that nourishes your heart. That's what I'm going to call this video. Ladies, you deserve sex that nourishes your heart. Stop trying to have hookup sex devoid of feelings. After my divorce, I was so hungry for feeling like I wanted really good juicy sex, and I wanted someone who didn't push my feelings away. And I started having sex with these guys in their 20s, a lot of Marines, and they would blow me off, of course, as young guys do after they fucked me, and it was very traumatizing to me. And I kept thinking, how can I have sex where I'm really open emotionally, because I wanted to keep growing emotionally and not get attached. And it took me 3 years to figure out I couldn't do it. And then I was like, I'm glad that I can't do it. And now there are books like this out. They're talking about, we want to catch feelings. All these women saying we should have sex without feelings. Why? We want to catch feelings. That's the name of this chapter I just started today. We want to catch feelings. And that's one thing in this hookup culture of the feminists. Women should work like men. We should fuck like men. We shouldn't have feelings. It's not liberated to catch feelings. We should just go through the sexual repertoire. Well, a woman cannot access her full sexual power without feelings. We're not machines. It's through our feelings that you access our full sexuality, ladies. And a lot of men can't give us that kind of sex because they're too fat. They're too fat. They can't thrust. They don't have the core power or the upper body power. Or they're too emotionally walled off. But there are men who can do it. And if you're a woman who wants that, just know that that's available and possible. And that's what I'm looking for, a man who can do that. And that's why I make a lot of these videos, like, I want more men who can give us what we want. But I also watch videos about what women should do for men, and I'll make a video about that later. Because I came across, maybe I should bring that up now. I came across a really good video I was watching earlier about this woman making videos, Rebecca Barrett. Rebecca Barrett, let me show you this. This is a woman talking about how to be a good wife. Okay.
You need to do in order to become a wife. So without further ado, let's jump into it. All right, ladies, let me preface something.
Okay, so I want to say that too. I'm not just I'm not just talking about all the things that men should do. The things that women should do, I'll show you the tips. Is you want to do the self-work, prepare your body, learn domestic skills, manage your finances, and change your circle of influence. So I'm going to make a separate video about that, because we also have an obligation to our men to be fun, to be a peaceful place they come home to be sexy and playful, to have our finances in order, our health in order, to have healthy lifestyle and finances, and to be interesting, and to be loving, and to love men. But again, not any man. And so men shouldn't just love any woman. Like, if you're the kind of man that can fuck a woman the way I just said, pick a good woman who's going to appreciate that, who's going to, a woman who adores your sexuality, who wants your sexuality, who wants your masculine energy, and who craves it, and who appreciates it, and is grateful for it. Because when I was with a guy who was really good in bed, you know what I would always say, even if he was a client? Thank you so much. You have no idea how rare it is to get this kind of sex. Thank you so much for giving me this experience. That's what I would say to my clients who paid me, you know, because it was so rare. So I'm very grateful. But anyway, this video has been long enough. Thank you so much for watching. And again, we want to catch feelings to make sex really good. Our feelings. Now I forgot what I was going to call the video. Good sex requires feeling. Oh, I forgot. I'll think of a title. Thank you for watching.